KOSK, ready? And open ready. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to another video class. We got some things that we're going to be working on today. We're going to be doing a bunch of different things, some of them including some sparring techniques as well. So, let us get started right off the bat with a warm-up. And who would like to do the warm-up? Oh, me. Oh, okay, good. So, here we go. Hands up. Let's run on the spot, run in place, whatever spot you're on at home. Get those legs warmed up, get them moving, get the body moving. You guys have been hanging out at home. Yeah, good. Let's get those knees up higher. Let's get those heels up higher in the back. Kick those heels up in the back. Yeah, good. Okay, yeah, man. All right, legs out wide. We're going to reach up high and stretch. Come to your belt. Move the shoulders around in a circle. Go straight down without bending your knees and touch the ground. Good. And come back up, touch your belt. Stretch up, move the neck. Move the shoulders, stretch up high. Reach, belt, down, belt, up, 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 belt, down. Legs wider, nice and wide. Look up at me, walk out on your hands, keep your body straight. Touch your shoulders. Walk back, stretch in the middle, stretch to the right, stretch to the left, stretch down the middle again. Good. Walk out again on your hands, touch your shoulders. And stretch, walk back again, stretch down the middle. Off to the right, off to the left, and have a seat. Pull your feet in, all the way in, tight, work them up and down. Breathe. Good. Grab your ankles, lean forward, push down with your arms on your legs. The goal is to touch the knees to the floor. And work them again, flap them again. Good. Pull your feet out a couple of inches. Try to hold your bottom of your feet. Try to touch your head down to your toes. Pull down. Pull down. 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 And up. Okay. Figure fours. Ready? Down and back up. Down and up. Down and up. Down and up. Use two hands. Down and up, down and up, and hold it down. Good. Chin down to your knee. Keep your toes pointed up. Push it down. Good. And switch your feet. Toes straight up in the air. Legs straight, no bending. Down and up, down and up, down and up, down and up, down and up. Oh, one more. Let's hold it down. Okay, chin down to your knee. Keep this toe up, down. Good. Legs wide. Okay, here we go. Stretching right. Use two hands, not just one. Two hands. I want you to twist your body so that your hips are facing your foot. Other side, down. Other side, down. Other side, down. Good. Down and back up. Stretch out. Here we go. Breathe out as you go down. Down. Say the word down. Down. Stretch it out. Down. Down. Go a little further. Down. Really reach out. Down. Down. And down. And feet together. Last one. Here we go. Breathe out. Ready. Say yes. Yes. And yes. Keep those knees straight. Yes. And yes. Don't bend. All the way down. Straight. And yes. And yes. Okay, cool. All right, everybody up? All right, next. I'm going to review some stances. We're going to start off with a cat stance. So in a cat stance, we're going to have our rear foot going to point to the corner. Our front foot is going to come up, touch heel to heel, see where your toes are, and move your heel out to where your toes are. Bend on both legs so that the weight is all on the back leg and you're on the ball of the front foot. Okay? This is called a cat stance. If you notice my hip position on a cat stance, they're almost straight forward. Almost straight forward. If you look at it from the side, I'm bending and the weight is all here. I should be able to raise this up without leaning, right? Without leaning. Just be able to hold it up. Right? Let's try the other side. Take your rear foot, point it to the corner. Take your front foot, bring it in, touch heel to heel. See where your toes are. Move your heel out to where your toes are. Bend both legs. Put the weight on your back leg and on the ball of your front foot. Okay? Now, one of the reasons we use a cat stance is that, and all the weight is on the back, right? All the weight's on the back foot. It makes it very easy to throw a quick kick because all the weight's already off. You don't have to shift the weight to do it. You can just lift it up and throw the kick out quickly, right? So remember my hip position on this, almost straight. So now we're going to use a T-stance, so it's a little different. The back leg is going to face that way. And we'll go heel to heel again, and we'll see where our toes are, and we'll move our heel out to where our toes were, and we'll bend. We'll be on the ball of the front foot, and we'll have our hands up here. Same thing. We want to be able to have the weight shifted to the back leg completely. Notice my hip position. It's on an angle. It's not so, it was squared away on the cat. It's more of an angle here. Let's try the other side. Rear foot is pointed that way. Front foot is pointed in, heel to heel. Move it out. Bend, have the hands up. So you want to be able to, again, you want to be able to lift that front foot without having to lean. Let me do it sideways here, all right? So if I'm facing this way, all right, I want to be able to, I don't think you can see my feet. I want to be able to be here and to be able to lift that up without having to lean, right? I want to be able to just, because again, I want to be in a position here that I can throw a quick snap kick out with the front foot, with the ball of the foot, okay? So that's our cat and our T-stance. Now, you guys that already know Pinan Shodan Kata, you notice that we use both the cat and T stances in Pinan Shodan, right? So you need to practice these to get good at them, right? So you have nice form. I see a lot of really rough stances sometimes when you guys doing kata, and that's because you need to practice. Remember, the basics are the building blocks of everything. So if you have good basics, you're going to have good kata. You're going to have good self-defense. You're going to have good sparring. If your basics are rough, that's the foundation. You're not going to have everything you build upon that. It's like building a house on a crooked foundation. How can everything else be straight and be right? It can't be, right? So the foundation has to be strong. And so these stances are part of that foundation that you need to do. All right, next. Let's see. So let us get into a squared off straddle stance. So squared off means my hips are square with you, my knees are bent, and my toes are pointing forward. The other thing I want you to notice, if I face you sideways, is that the back is straight. So I'm not leaning like this when I'm in my stance. I'm nice and straight with it, right? Your weight is equal on both feet, right? Let's just throw a few punches from here. And just like like our challenge, our team challenge, right? We talked about that. We'll talk about it again later. Let's put the right hand out, left hand in the chamber. Let's throw a couple of good punches from the straddle. Ready, hike. Ready, hike. Ready, hike. Ready, hike. Ready, hike. Ready, hike. Good. Okay. So the straddle can be done. You're probably never going to use the straddle and squared off. It's really a training stance. You're really not going to fight that way at all because all your targets are open. You're wide open that way. But you might be sideways. Sideways is a very strong stance against someone coming right at you because you're really wide. If I'm in a horse stance and this guy comes at me here, my feet aren't wide enough. There's a good chance he's going to knock me backwards. But if I'm in a straddle, it's going to be really hard because I have a big foundation, a big wide stance to hold my ground, so to speak, right? So the other way you're going to use a straddle stance, and it's used in a lot of the forms, is on a 45. So we talk about 45s. I know some of you don't really understand angles, but think of it this way. If this is straight, and this is what we call 90 degrees, straight to the side, in the middle of those two is 45 degrees. So if you had, like we have the squares on the dojo floor, I know you can't see them, but if I had one foot in one corner and one in the other corner, that would be a 45-degree straddle stance, right? So the reason that these 45-degree stances are good is that they're not like this where you can, you're wide open. And they're not like this where they're good defensive but not offensive. In other words, from a side-facing straddle, right, there's limited things I can do from here, unless I'm really close to him. But it's hard for me to punch with this hand. For me to kick with this foot, I have to come way around here. It's just not, very practical, right? But if I'm in a 45 stance, right, I'm in a 45 stance here, I can pretty much reach him here, right? Boom. And my kicks are much closer to him as well. So a 45 is a good balance between defense and offense. So that's why we're going to be using that sometimes, and you're going to be using that in a lot of your forms and a lot of your katas. Okay, next. A front stance is something we use all the time, but yet a lot of times in class I'll say, everybody, let's do it now. Everybody right foot back in the front stance. Hey! I want you to look down at your stance. Are both feet pointing front? Or pretty close to front? Is your front knee bent? Is your back leg locked out straight? Is your stance big enough so it's stable? Is it wide enough so that you have good side-to-side stability? If I'm too narrow, I have no stability to the sides, right? If I'm too shallow, I don't have any stability going back, right? Just like we talked about before. If my legs are wider, I have more stability from an incoming attacker, right? Also, if I punch from really narrow stance, like here, it's hard for me to generate any power because for me to hit somebody really hard, the power is actually generated and it comes all the way down my arm, down my body, and into the ground, right? So without getting too technical, you guys may have heard of Newton's third law of action and reaction, right? So a body that's in motion tends to stay in motion, a body that's in rest tends to stay in rest, which means here's what it means. Let's say I'm standing in a boat, and I'm at the dock. It's a small boat, and I want to step into the dock, right? If I'm not careful, when I push forward to get there, what happens is the boat pushes away from the dock, and I fall in the water, right? Or I fall down and hit my head on the dock. So I have to be very careful. Anytime you push off, there's a force coming backwards. It's the same thing with a punch. That punch has to direct its power all the way back down into the ground. If I'm in a really shallow stance here, if my stance is really shallow, that force is not going to go that way. Some of it is, but the rest of it's going to go back. I'm going to rock back and absorb some of my own power. If I'm in a really big, strong stance, then I direct that power all the way out through my hand into the target. All right, make sense? Okay, let's see. So the only other stance that I want to talk about today is a fighting stance. And sometimes a fighting stance is called a walking stance only because it's how you get into it. So if I stand in like an open ready stance and I take a small step forward and then just twist a little to the side, I'm in a fighting stance. So a fighting stance is good because it allows you to move, right? Remember, we're not static in one spot. We want to be able to move around. So a good fighting stance is going to help us be able to move. And look, we're gonna move around. Then we're going to set to a solid stance to strike and then move again, right? Or maybe we're going to move around, bam, we're going to throw a kick, and we can keep moving, we can keep getting into proper positions. So it allows us to move. At the same time, it's very defensive because our hands are up, our bodies are on an angle, so we give a small target area, right? Most of the targets on the human body, not all of them, but most of them are down the middle of our body. Think about that. So, you know, you got the forehead, you got the bridge of the nose, you have the nose itself, you have this area here, right? This is called the philtrum, right under the nose. That's a target. Your throat's a target. Your sternum bone, your solar plexus, your groin, they're all down the middle. So you want to protect that all the time. You know, when you guys, a lot of you guys were doing belt sparring, right? Either in ninjas or in Karate Kids doing belt sparring, we always taught the kids, right? You shake hands, you get into a fighting stance, you turn your body sideways. Well, same thing. Now we're getting to a more advanced thing where we're really thinking about real targets, right? Not just a belt knot, real targets. We want to take those targets away from our opponent. So a fighting stance is how we're going to do it. Also, never like this. We never have a stance with our elbows up. We always want to keep our elbows in. Our elbows protect our ribs and our body. Plus, if they're here and a guy punches here, it takes me a lot longer to move from here than it does from here, right? Guy punches here, boom. It's basically like a bar guard block, right? But I'm just twisting my body a little bit, deflecting it. If I'm out here, it takes much longer to get there. Plus, I'm all open on the sides. I want to be able to get those out. Maybe he punches or kicks into my sides, into my rib, boom. I just drop it down this way, and I can protect myself this way, right? So it's a good defensive position. Also, it's a good offensive position. If my hands are here, isn't it harder for me to strike from here than if they were here? They're here, they're already ready to go, boom, right? If I'm out here, I'm either not going to have much power, and they're going to take a lot longer to get to my opponent. You always want to have your hands towards the middle of your body and fairly close to your body in a real situation. Why? Because you can always block and you can count. If my hands are nice and close, right? And let's say I like reach for my block, I'm way out here, or I have my elbows up or something, right? And I'm out in this position. I'm open, right? Plus, I don't have a lot of power or anything in this hand to do anything. But if my hand's here, boom, I can go right back in here, right? I can throw just a reverse punch, or one that's upside down, or a back fist strike, right? Or I can block and throw a back fist. So there's a lot of things you can do when your hands are close to your body. You're always in position to either block or strike. All right, next. All right, if you have gloves, I want you to put your gloves on. You don't have to do it with gloves because you're not going to really be hitting anything, but I am going to be. So I'm going to be working with this dummy over here. So we're going to work on a sparring technique, and you know, if you don't have gloves, you can just do it right in place. You can do it. You can do it slow. We're going to do it slow, and then pick up speed a little bit later. All right. So I'm trying to think the best angle. Maybe I should turn this guy this way a little bit. All right. So the technique we're going to throw today is going to be a spinning back fist, right? Spinning back fist. Now, I like to set the spinning back fist set it up, with something else. So it gives him something to think about or something to look for. So if I throw a jab, he's reacting to that jab in some way. Maybe I hit him. Maybe he brings his hands up and he blocks it, right? But I'm making him react. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn and back fist. Now, this is not a self-defense technique. You don't want to be spinning your back on somebody in a real fight. You never want to turn your back on them if you don't have to. But for sparring, it's okay. In fact, some people can do this really good and really fast and time it just right. It can be a really effective technique. You have to be careful though so you don't whack the guy. So if I come here and I go bam, guess what? I'm going to be disqualified, right? So I have to have control of that. I have to practice it so that I have control. So there's a couple of little tricks to it. I think I'm going to move him a little further back so that you can see my feet a little better too. How's that? Go like this if it's better. Yeah? Okay. So, all right. So again, we don't want to start in right here in range, because normally in a real sparring situation, you're not this close to each other unless you're punching, kicking, or moving, right? If I get this close to this guy, he's either going to do one of two things. He's either going to throw a defensive technique at me, or he's going to move, right? So we're normally further back, right? We're further back. We have our hands up over here. So we need to close that gap. So I'm going to step up with my front foot, throw the jab. Now I'm going to take this leg, this back leg, spin, and back fist. Let me do it facing you. So I come here, I throw, and notice my hand position. It's not this. It's not this. That's too slow and too telegraphed. I want to bring my elbow in and do this. So it ends up being this at the end, not this, right? So from this side, I step in, punch, bam. Now, the feet. Feet are really important on this because I see a lot of times we're practicing in class and people get their feet mixed up. I think I need to come back a tiny bit more so that you all can see. Okay. So when I step in on this, right, what I want to do is I want to turn. I hope you can see my feet on the floor. When I step in, instead of stepping in straight, I want to step in on a little angle. See how I turn my foot? So my foot's not straight, it's like here. Why? Because it makes it easier for me and quicker for me to do the next move. So let me just do it without the opponent. So from here I am. I step in, I jab. I don't move this foot. I only twist and pivot on this foot. I bring this other foot around, I look, and I back fist. So from here, 1, 2, right? Now, let me show you what happens if you move this front foot, and this is what I see a lot. Here, you see what happened? I can't reach him anymore, right? So you can't move that front foot away. A lot of times I see people do that, and they move this here, then they can't reach. So it's really a matter of just sliding in and coming in with the technique, right? Now, the good thing about if you can do a really good spinning back fist is that there's a lot of other techniques you can add on to this, right? So you might throw this a few times, and the guy's expecting it, and you just make a little change, and you throw something a little different, and guess what? Now you got to point it, right? So we're going to delve into that in future classes here. So I'm going to teach you a bunch of different techniques that you can do right off of this spinning back fist technique, all right? So one more time. I step in, I throw, I look. Now, I didn't mention that too. You need to look. So, for example, if I'm here and I do this in a tournament, I could very well get disqualified. It's called the blind technique because I can't see the guy. My head has to come around before that technique comes out, right? It has to come around so I can see where I'm going. Otherwise, you could hurt somebody, right? And that's why the rule is there. All right, cool. Now, I want to tell you guys something. We are going to, I was going to work on a self-defense technique, but what I'm going to do instead is I am going to, this is being recorded, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple of good techniques that I was going to do in class here on the video where I'm working with somebody. I'm working with this, I filmed this quite a few years ago, but I'm working with an opponent, a partner, so you can actually see me do the technique with somebody. and then you guys can practice it. Maybe you can practice it with your folks, or you can practice it with a brother or sister. Just don't hurt each other. Just go slow and practice it nice and gently. All right? But it's going to be on the video now. Chances are good I won't have this video up tonight. There's just a lot of work. It's a huge amount of work. I've got to get the stuff. I've got to get the video off of the camera. I got to put it in my editing program. I got to join it together with other things, and then I have to render it, which makes it complete. Then I have to upload it to YouTube. Then I have to put the links up. I have to send the emails. It just a lot of times I just can't get it done the same night. So, but it will be up by tomorrow night for sure. Maybe tomorrow afternoon, and we'll send emails out as soon as these videos are done. Okay? So don't forget leadership tomorrow. And by the way, if you missed leadership yesterday, right? If you missed leadership yesterday, leadership is now recorded. We actually recorded this one, Billy, and this one's recorded, and it's up on that page, pacekarate.com/video. So you can if you miss leadership, you can watch the class and take the class there. I think it was a pretty good one, and I think you get a lot of value out of it if you take the time to watch it. Or maybe if you did watch it and you got a few minutes, it's only 15 minutes or so long, you can watch it again. Again, I want to thank everybody for being here and for being my loyal students. And I will see you next week on video, and maybe, hopefully tomorrow night at 5 o'clock for leadership. Okay? All right. Feet together, heel straight, and nice bow. You guys are dismissed. This is against someone who is charging us and trying to tackle, usually around the knees or around the thighs, trying to take us down quickly. So Chris, if you get in position over here, and we'll do it on this angle. So he's going to come in. We'll do it fast on the first one. So he's going to shoot right in. I'll drive him back. Notice how I drive my legs back out of his grip. I want to get on his shoulder blades and force him down into the ground. Now once I'm here, I can now attack with elbow strikes into the spine or to the back of the neck. Realizing that these techniques that we're using here are very, very serious. An elbow to the spinal area, the back of the neck, could potentially be a crippling or even a deadly defense. So again, you want to use judgment in this kind of an attack. If the attack is not real serious, maybe you just want to drive him down and get up and get out of there. I mean, that may be another alternative. Okay, so let's do it slowly and get the feeling of it. So what's going to happen is as he comes in, I'm going to shoot my legs back, pushing down, driving him down. And then, of course, my follow-up technique from there. Okay, so pretty simple, but yet important. You don't want somebody to get a hold of your legs, take you down, and you get into a grappling situation. And it's a whole different ball of wax.